Blind Boys of Alabama are a staple in the gospel and blues genres, but their latest album has more of a country flair to it. Co-produced by Jamey Johnson, Take the High Road brings the group together with country legends like Vince Gill, Willie Nelson, Hank Williams Jr., Ann Womack, and the Oak Ridge Boys. Kelly Lynn caught up with the group at a Nashville celebration to talk about the new project.
We're here at the Belcourt Theater tonight getting ready to see the Blind Boys of Alabama perform, and I am here with the lead singer, Mr. Jimmy Carter. How are you?
Fine, my dear. How are you?
I am real good. I'm even better now. I'm so excited about the show tonight that you guys are doing. And you guys have got a new album. You teamed up. You've been doing performances for 70 years, and just now your first country record.
First country record. We've been recording for 40 or 50 years, and we just did our first country gospel CD.
No, and I love the story. I saw this earlier. You were actually inducted into the Alabama Hall of Fame,
yeah.
And Jamey Johnson, we all know Jamey Johnson, was there, and he talked to you about maybe getting together and doing a record. So he co-produced this with you, is that correct?
That's correct. He did, and he did a heck of a job, too.
But you also got Hank Williams Jr. involved, and Hank did
I Saw the Light.
Great song, great song.
Yeah.
And his daddy wrote that one, so.
That's correct. It was kind of emotional, to see him come up there and do that with, knowing that his dad wrote it, and he did it in one take.
Oh, really? Came in and did it in one take. Now, was that the first time that you had worked with Hank Jr.?
Yes, it was, first time.
And that experience, how was that?
It was because I'm a country music fan. I love country music. I grew up with it. And to meet all these guys I've never met before, it was just overwhelming. George Jones is one of my favorite heroes. I even had a chance to meet him thanks to Jamey Johnson.
I was a fool, wandering straight. The street is the gate, and narrows the way.
I'm here with Chris Goldsmith. Now, you co-produced with Jamey and worked on this project. You've worked with the Blind Boys of Alabama for a long time. Talk a little bit about, you guys came to Nashville and did this at RCA Studios?
Yeah, it's Ben Folds studio now, but it was the old RCA soundstage, and which was an amazing room. We recorded it live, basically, all the musicians and singers all in the same room, a lot of bleed, kind of the way they used to do it back in the 60s and 70s, and kind of gave it that old-time feel. And I think everybody was really moved by just the ability to play together and kind of feel the energy in the room, and I think that kind of comes through on the record.
How did you guys go about picking the songs? Because you have some of my favorites in there, and what a great lineup. How did you find those or decide to narrow it down to those? Yeah,
well, it was actually easier than I thought it would be. We all brought songs in, the producers. There were a couple of other producers also. Chad Cromwell is a great drummer, and Swine, Kevin Grant, who's a bass player, and they played on the record. And we all had songs that we brought in, and we would just start playing them in the control room, and we would watch the Blind Boys, and if they were tapping their foot, we would go cut the track, and if they weren't, we wouldn't even finish playing the song.
Wow, so they didn't even have to say anything, just their movement.
They never said anything, and I don't even think they knew that that's what we were doing actually at the time. But that was one of Jamey's ideas, and it worked out really well. And so it went pretty quick because there was a lot of songs that the Blind Boys naturally resonated with, and we would just go out and cut it. We wouldn't even know what the next song was going to be until we finished that one, and then we'd come back in and do the same thing.
Take a high road through the valley. Take a high road through the valley. Take a high road to the valley. If you want to reach the promised land.
Talk a little bit, because you were one of the original singers of the Blind Boys of Alabama, and you guys got together back in Alabama. Talk about the beginnings.
Well, we went to school together. There was a school for the blind in Alabama, in a little town called Talladega, and that's how we met up. Every blind child went to that school to get an education, and so that's how we met. We came all over the state, and so we just started singing together and decided after a while that we would try to go out and make a living at it, and that's what happened.
And you've gone everywhere from small churches there in Alabama, and it's grown. You've been to the White House.
Been to the White House, just got back from New Zealand Sunday.
Wow. And now I know now with this new release of this album, your first country crossover meets gospel, where are you going to take this? I know there's a tour planned. You're doing the show here tonight at the Belcourt.
Yeah, we are hoping that it will open some doors that we can tour with some country artists. I would love that. We already have, we're going to do a tour with Jim Lauderdale this later on in the year, and Sarah Watkins too. So it's already materializing.
People get ready, have the train coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is
Take the High Road was released a few weeks ago in the U.S. on Cigarro Road Records. Interestingly, though, the album was first released in Australia as part of their tour there, which included a performance at the Sydney Opera House. They are still touring the world, but you can keep up with them online at blindboys.com. We're checking in with a new artist that is making his way out of his family shadow next, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
I'm Jesse Keith Whitley, and I'm coming up next on Inside Music Row.